And he's a big prospect, but Stephen Wilson here, and he means business at the Royal Albert Hall. Oh, and a big thumping left hand there from Calzaghe, but some nice left hand work from Stephen Wilson as well. Big right hook there from Joe. And it's ironic that this is a match for the vacant British Championship between a Scotsman and a Welshman, and the title given up by an Irishman. So a big start there from Calzaghe. Referee John Coyle from Wolverhampton. Stephen Wilson managed by Tommy Gilmore, and I think trained by George Borden, although I wouldn't swear to that. Nice left-hand work there again from Wilson, just picking Calzaghe off, and well, a slip there from Stephen Wilson. Well, Calzaghe obviously feeling he can get rid of Wilson quite early, putting quite a bit into these initial attacks. Nice right there through the middle from Wilson. And lots of people have criticised Calzaghe for not having really fought anyone of great note. So this is a chance then for him to shine. And I suppose the same can be said for Stephen Wilson, although he has won an eliminator for this British Championship. He beat Paul Wright from Liverpool on points over 10 rounds. Well, some nice boxing at the end of the round there from Wilson, but I think overall Calzaghe's nicked the opening round. And of course we're still on the half-point system in Britain, so 10 points to Joe Calzaghe, 9.5 for Stephen Wilson. There you are. Calzaghe, 23 years of age, and a perfect record. Only one man so far went the full route with him. That, of course, was Bobby Joe Edwards, who is, in fact, a cruiserweight. And just that one unfortunate cut-eye loss to Nigel Rafferty.
Round two.
Into round two, then. This one's scheduled for 12 rounds, of course. And Joe Calzaghe's taking the opener. And the funny thing about Calzaghe here, when he tightens up and tries to look the boxer, he doesn't seem quite as comfortable. Quite as comfortable, that is, as the man who likes to get in there, use his natural flair and tear-away approach. When it comes down to pure boxing, I've got a feeling that Wilson will get the better of things. Calzaghe, of course, a man who won ABA championships at 3 different weights in consecutive years. And that a modern record. Well, Calzaghe there, showing off a wee bit. Not wound Wilson up, though. Nice double jab there from Wilson. Then the move round to his own left to prevent Calzaghe from countering with that strong left hand of his. Wilson, a very experienced amateur, fought in both European and World Championships as both junior and senior, and of course represented Britain at the Barcelona Olympic Games. And that pedigree showing here in the second round, getting some nice shots off from a Very smart boxing stance. Calzaghe managed by Mickey Duff and Terry Lawless. And Calzaghe's punching power was actually put into question when he fought one Tyrone Jackson a couple of fights before this. And Jackson took him into the 4th round, but took some almighty wallops and just stood there. Well, Calzaghe getting into things a bit towards the end of this 2nd round, but I think it's been a pretty fair round so far for the Scotsman. Oh, nice left hand from Calzaghe. And Wilson shakes his head, as if to say, that didn't bother me. And this is the Calzaghe I prefer, the man with his hands down, who tends to play a wee bit, but that's a good round, I think, for Stephen Wilson. So, a round apiece then. And that's a lovely left cross from Calzaghe just before the finish. And that's a brave cameraman to stand there and take that one. As we come up for round 3 then. So Stephen Wilson then, the Scotsman, in the blue, has taken round 2 to level things up, I think, against Joe Calzaghe, the Welshman. And the first ever British super middleweight champion. Well, I'll tell you after this round, but just see if you can recall the name. Right. This, in fact, is not an old division. Just been around with us for a few years now in Britain. Calzaghe's punches might not be looking quite spectacular as they were, but they're thumping shots and they're landing quite hard. And that was another stumble from Wilson. Punches like that will chip away at Wilson's resolve. Nice left hook back from Stephen. Good body shot there from Calzaghe. And it's a big moment for both fighters. Lots and lots at stake here. And of course the prospect down the road of some very, very exciting fights. These are by no means the highest ranked super middleweights in Britain. Well, that's a nice left hand again for Calzaghe. And Wilson, well, fending him off pretty well in the corner there. But he can't keep him off forever. Oh, and this is thumping punches again from the Welshman. And Calzaghe always looking for the finish with every punch he throws. And Wilson's taken everything really, really well so far. So, a very interesting round there. One I'm going to give to Calzaghe. Harder punching.
You've given that title. Waking up. Fight back, Stephen. Don't let him fucking do it. For goodness sakes, man. Come on.
So into round 4 then, and Calzaghe a point up in my card now, after 3. I'm just saying that they're by no means the highest ranked super middleweights in Britain with the independent world boxing rankings. There's the likes of Nigel Benn, Henry Wharton and Sam Story above, and just below people like Mark Delaney and Dean Francis, who of course might come up with a crack against the winner of this particular match. And of course we always say you can't argue with an unbeaten record, and I suppose that's true to a point. But these two look pretty well matched. Wilson's previous fight coming into this was a points win over Glenn Campbell, and there are some people who disputed that. I can't comment because I didn't see it. And every time Calzaghe opens up with the heavier punches, I think, Stephen, it's fair to say that Wilson does tend to go into his shell a wee bit. That's why you heard his trainer say, don't give this title away, fight back. Of course, it's so easy to say, but when faced with the kind of power that Calzaghe obviously possesses, it can be very, very intimidating. And he's a pretty quick puncher as well as Joe. And that's a big left hand again for Calzaghe. And I've also got a feeling that Steve Wilson, well, I think he's more of a natural light heavyweight rather than a super middle, so he'll boil down to this 12-stone limit. 75 kilograms. So some pretty nice boxing and pretty hefty punching again from Calzaghe here in round 4. And there's not, in fact, there's the bell to end it. Another good round there for Joe Calzaghe, I thought.
That was all right, Joe. You've got to keep that up. That was good. That was good.
39.5, 38.5 on my card to Calzaghe. Calzaghe ranked 25 by the IWBR, and Wilson at 63.
7's up, round 5.
So round 5 then. The vacant British Super Middleweight Championship. Oh, lovely thumping left hand there from Calzaghe to start this 5th round. And as I asked previously, who was Britain's first ever super middleweight champion? Of course, the answer was Sam Story, the man who gave up this title. In fact, his second reign gave up this championship to fight for the European. Well, Stephen Wilson now getting forced around this ring. I'm just trying to think of a way, in fact, in which he can avoid it. That's one way. Stand your ground and bang in the right hand. Of course, he needs to move to his own left to try and negate that strong backhand left of Calzaghe's. And I think Stephen's going the wrong way most of the time. And of course, Calzaghe is such a talented fighter, and I've always spoken very highly of him, regardless of his detractors. And I imagine that both men are exceptionally nervous as well going into this fight. Their future's on the line. Well, that's what I call natural flair. 3 or 4 nagging jabs there, then the left cross from Calzaghe.
Right.
Nice uppercut there from Wilson. Wilson turned pro almost immediately after the Olympic Games in 1992, and Calzaghe about a year later. Well, not a good round there for Calzaghe.
We can fuck it up. Jesus God, it's legal to throw your right now.
Round 6.
Trainer there saying, wake up, Stephen. It's not illegal to throw your right hand. Well, it's, as I say, it's a lot easier said than done as we come up for round 6 in this scheduled 12-rounder. And Stephen Wilson really does need a good round here. I've got him 3 behind at this stage. And he needs some success. And of course, that's another thing about Calzaghe. He can hit you from the outside. He also can hit you from the inside. A lot of fighters get on the inside, they do very little, but Calzaghe is not one of those. But to be honest with you, Wilson's tried to match him for that. And again, those nagging jabs from Calzaghe, then a big one. Oh. And Calzaghe's extra speed of punch is proving decisive here in the 6th round. Well, heads rubbing together there. Lovely little right hook there from Calzaghe. Well, Joe Calzaghe looking altogether much more comfortable here than Steve Wilson. there for Joe.
Just a big prep, you're looking prep. Marvellous round, it was a good round. All right. All right.
Seconds up, round 7.
Halfway stage then, round 7 of this vacant super middleweight championship. Joe Calzaghe in the black trunks has got a 4-round lead, I think, after 6. Of course, it's not my opinion that counts. Referee John Coyle is the only man who'll score here, as once again Calzaghe spears him with the right and the left cross. Yes, Stephen Wilson starting to hold much more frequently now. And I must admit, I can't say I blame him. Nice right there from Wilson. And Calzaghe's answer to taking a big shot is to give 1 or 2. And again, nice hard punches there from Calzaghe. Oh, and that's really the story of this fight. Wilson going forward and missing, and getting countered heavily by Calzaghe. And there looks to be a bit of blood now by the right eye of the Scotsman. Another good round then for Calzaghe. Into round 8. And so far, Stephen Wilson's taken it all very manfully. But he's on the losing side at the moment. And still Wilson desperately needs a major success here. Oh, lovely shot there from Wilson. Beautiful long right hand there, catching Calzaghe on the chin. Oh, a lovely left hand there from Calzaghe. Well, Wilson's shaken by those couple of punches. And it all looks very hard work now for the Scotsman. As once again Calzaghe thumps in a hook. And nags away with a jab. Well, now Calzaghe having things all his own way here. And he's hurting Wilson now. Stephen forced to hang on there. And these punches are getting to Wilson. I think lovely jabs there from Calzaghe. Oh, and again, big shots here from Calzaghe. Wilson driven across the ring again. Well, we can't be far from the finish now, surely. Referee Coyle looking very closely. Well, it's all over now. So referee Coyle then rescues Stephen Wilson as Joe Calzaghe's father, Enzo, lifts him high. So the new British super middleweight champion named Joe Calzaghe, there he is, wins in 8 rounds. And I tell you what, Stephen Wilson stood up exceptionally well to some very heavy punishment for most of the time.
Now, gentlemen, please, after 2 minutes, 18 seconds of round 8, ladies and gentlemen, with Wilson not in a position to continue, the referee has stopped the contest. The winner and the new super middleweight champion of Great Britain, Joe Calzaghe.
And who knows where that championship could take him. Main event to come. Stay with us.